Tonight, we're checking out the 1010 Nanonbox Lemondrop on the Synthstrom Deluge. Today, we're going to do something totally different. Today, I've got a new little buddy that's going to be my newest companion to the Deluge that I can't wait to dig into. Just got it, haven't even opened it up yet. So, the Nanonbox Lemondrop is a granular synth. If you don't know what that is, well, you're about to find out. I got it because that's the one thing that the Deluge probably doesn't do so great. It's possible. In fact, my last Songs from Scratch video, I did a little granular synth, but it's finicky. And even with the new community firmware updates that adds a grain effect, I hear it's really CPU intensive. So I just kind of wanted something that I could do it outside and still bring right back into the Deluge. So that's what we're going to do today. What do we got on the menu? I'm going to do an unboxing, just show you everything that is in the box, what it comes with. Then I'm going to hook it up using the Deluge as a controller and a clock. And I'm going to run through the presets. We'll see what they sound like. I'm not going to do any tweaking. It's just listening. So I'm not even going to do effects on the Deluge. It's just so we can hear the Lemondrop. So you'll be able to skip ahead if you want to listen to that. Go ahead and skip ahead if you just want to hear what this thing sounds like out of the box, because we're going to do a bit of that. And then I'll just give kind of my final thoughts and how I see it, envision it working in my workflow. All right. So without further ado, let's get to it. So this thing is tiny. As you can see, my hand is bigger than the box, right? But I hear it's mighty, despite its small stature. All right, so in the box, what do we got? Ooh, all right. Cool. So here's our Lemondrop. This is the entire synth. This is it, man. This is the whole deal, the whole shebang. Boom. All right, and then it looks like over here, let's see what we got. Okay. And wad it up in there nice and tight. We have instructions. All right, so let's see what we got here. All right, so we got our Lemondrop. That's our first thing. This is the synth. I'm gonna tear that little bad boy off. That is the synth. That's the whole thing, man. Then over here, we have got power cord. So it's USB-C. You plug it into a power block. So it doesn't have its own battery, which kind of sucks for portability, but you can always do it into a power bank or something like that and still have it portable along with the Deluge. And then lastly, it looks like we have a MIDI to micro MIDI converter there. So that's basically the whole deal. That's all you need. So I'm going to set it up with the Deluge and I'll be right back. See you in a minute. All right, so before we get started, I just wanted to give an overview of how I've got it set up working with the Deluge, and then we're going to skip right ahead to just listening to some presets. I'm not going to tweak them too much. Plenty of videos out there of what this thing can do, but I haven't actually seen a lot of videos of just what this thing sounds like out of the box. So I'm just going to scroll through some presets, give it a listen, and then give my kind of thoughts about it. But here's how I got it going from the Deluge. We've got 2 tracks. This is my MIDI track, which is sending MIDI through this guy, MIDI in, MIDI out of the Deluge into this. So I'm controlling it with a MIDI track. And then I have an audio track that I'm using for monitoring. So I'm just doing a line out into the mic input for the heck of it. And that's really it. It's that simple. And I got to say, this is the first time I've connected outboard gear to the Deluge. And I would say, generally speaking, I feel a little intimidated setting up MIDI, setting up gates. This was so simple. It was literally plug and play. I plugged this in, I set up a MIDI track, it worked. And it was that simple. There was just no brainer, right? Yeah, with that, I think I'm just going to pause for a second because I'm going to set us up in stereo so we can get the true vibe of this. No talking. I'm not going to give any commentary. I'm just going to go through a couple of the presets so we can listen to it and see what it sounds like. And yeah, and then I'll give some final thoughts at the end. So let's do it. So that's just a quick overview of what the first 15 patches. And obviously I didn't tweak anything. You could tweak these things to endless delight. That was just the first 15 patches. I mean, they sound pretty awesome. Let's see how many they have stock in here. I mean, there's over 100. What are we looking at? 130. Oh man. Yeah. So there's 151 presets already in here to get you started, which is pretty awesome. I mean, even those first 15, I found a couple that I'm like, cool. So the thing with granular synthesis, if you don't know what's going on, basically what's happening is there's two oscillators. There's three actually, but there's two, and it loads in. Each one of these patches has two waves coming in. So that's one wave, and you could even check, I could beat sync it. Ooh, that's going to be fun. Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of levels of stuff, but basically you have two different samples, and you could load your own samples. You could record directly into this. I could patch out from the Deluge into this and back in so that I can use the stock synths or something that I have over here and use this just as a granular effector. But what it's doing is it's basically just loading two separate samples in each of these patches. And then sometimes there's also a third oscillator that's just a noise. You know, you can get your sine, your square, saw, all your normal stuff, right? And then I think there's also a noise generator, if I'm not mistaken. And what a granular synthesizer is doing is you're picking a point where it's taking just quick little samples and repeating them really fast, right? So what you're seeing when these things are happening, those are the grains. Those are the grains that it's taking to create a sound from the sample. Like this could just be, I mean, it says glass bell. I'm assuming it's a bell that he's just ding, hit a bell or something like that. And what you can manipulate is you can manipulate how big those grains are, how often they happen, where they happen on the sample. And you can do that for both oscillators, obviously. And it just creates, as you heard, just these crazy textures that you just can't get anywhere else. So I would say all in all, I'm pretty happy with this thing. I'm definitely going to keep digging into it and seeing what we could get. And I think it's a perfect companion for this. It does something, that the Deluge doesn't. I've spent the last couple of weeks kind of digging into the synth engine because I'm not super well versed in synthesis. I'm more out of the box, taking a patch and tweaking it until I'm happy. But I've spent a good deal of time these last couple of weeks just kind of digging into the subtractive synth, the FM synth, a little bit of the waveform synth, and of course it also has a sampler, right? So you can plug in different samples into your oscillators, or combine a sample with an oscillator, or combine two samples to make a completely new thing, or you can multi-sample it. So out of the box, I'm super happy with the Deluge, but the one thing it doesn't do well is granular synthesis. I have done it in a video previously. It was kind of finicky and kind of a pain in the ass, and like I heard that they now have a grain effect with the new community firmware update, the newest beta, but that it's super CPU intensive. So this to me is a perfect answer. It's just, it's right out of the box. It's super handy. It's portable. So I can keep this setup still relatively small. And to me, I could also use it as an effects pedal, right? I can send my guitar through this. I could just use it for the reverb and delay because it's got effects on it too. It's got onboard effects. So, it's a pretty handy little thing. And I'm looking forward to really digging into it. We'll get back to some song tutorials and building stuff right after this. I just thought this was a really cool thing. Thought some people would want to see it. And like I said, I haven't seen a lot of stuff where people have just demoed the actual sounds right out of the box, so you know what this thing sounds like. So hopefully that was helpful to you. Definitely be on the lookout for song tutorials coming down the pipe that's going to have this engineered as part of my workflow now. I think it's super cool. I'm looking forward to doing some ambient stuff with it. If you found this helpful, as always, hit that like, hit that subscribe. If you want to see more Lemondrop stuff, definitely leave me a comment. Tell me what you want to see. I'm happy to dive deeper into it. There's plenty of videos out there, but I got to learn it anyway, so I'm happy to dig into it. Thanks again for joining us, and we will see you next time.